first noticed the journal on a quiet afternoon when the sky hung low and gray, as if listening. It lay on the wooden table near the window of the small coastal library, its cover a deep indigo, worn soft by many hands. On the first page, written in a graceful slant, were the words, "This is where love learns to speak." He didn't know then that the journal belonged to Amina. Juma was the kind of man who believed in steady things. He believed in mornings that began with prayer and tea, in the sea that returned its waves without fail, in work done patiently. Love, he thought, was something like the tide reel, powerful but not meant to be chased. If it came, it came. If it didn't, one learned to live with the shoreline. Amina, on the other hand, believed in questions. She believed that love should be examined, written about, turned over like a stone to see what lived beneath. She carried notebooks everywhere, filling them with thoughts, half-poems, and observations of strangers. How they laughed, how they waited, how they loved. They met by accident, as most important things do. Juma reached for the indigo journal at the same moment Amina did. Their fingers touched briefly, a spark of surprise passing between them. She looked up first, her eyes warm and curious, framed by a calm confidence that made Juma suddenly aware of his own stillness. "I'm sorry," she said, smiling. "I didn't think anyone else read old journals." "I didn't know it was yours," Juma replied. It felt inviting. She laughed softly. "That's dangerous. Books that invite you often refuse to let you go." They sat at the same table after that, not because either suggested it, but because the space between them seemed unnecessary. Outside, the wind nudged the palm trees. Inside, time slowed, as if the afternoon wanted to remember them. Over the next weeks, they met again and again. Sometimes they spoke for hours. Sometimes they sat in companionable silence, reading or writing. Juma learned that Amina had returned from the city after her father's death, uncertain whether the village still had a place for her. Amina learned that Juma repaired boats by day and read history by night, that he liked his tea strong and his words few. One evening, as the sun painted the sky with copper and gold, Amina slid the indigo journal across the table toward him. "Read it," she said. "I don't want to intrude." "It's meant to be shared," she replied. "Love grows smaller when it's kept hidden." Inside the journal were reflections on love in all its forms. Love between parents and children. Love that fades quietly. Love that arrives like a storm. Juma read slowly, carefully, as if the pages might break if handled without respect. What struck him most was not the beauty of her words, but their honesty. Amina wrote about doubt without fear, about longing without apology. "This is brave," he said finally. She shrugged. "It's just true." As days turned into months, something gentle and undeniable unfolded between them. They walked the shoreline at dusk, their footsteps side by side. They shared meals, laughter, small worries. Juma found himself listening for her voice in crowds. Amina noticed how her thoughts bent naturally toward him, like vines seeking sunlight. Still, neither spoke the word love. It hovered between them, unspoken but present, like the moon on a cloudy night. Then life, as it always does, tested them. Amina received an offer to return to the City A publishing house interested in her writing. It was everything she had once dreamed of. The letter trembled in her hands as she read it aloud to Juma beneath the mango tree near his home. "This is good news," he said, meaning it. "But it means leaving," she replied. "Leaving this." Juma nodded, his chest tightening. "You should go." His words hurt her more than protest would have. "Is that all you have to say?" He looked at her then, really looked. "I love you enough not to cage you," he said quietly, "and enough to trust that if we are meant to last, distance will not erase us." Tears welled in Amina's eyes. She wanted him to fight, to beg her to stay. But she also understood the depth of what he offered. Freedom without resentment, love without possession. They spent their last weeks together deliberately, as if storing memories for leaner days. Amina wrote furiously in the indigo journal. Juma fixed a boat he didn't need to fix, just to keep his hands busy. On her final night, they sat by the sea, waves murmuring their secrets. Promise me something, Amina said. Anything. Write to me, not just messages. Letters. Let our words travel where we cannot. He smiled. I will. And you must promise to come back. She nodded. I will. Even if I don't know when. The separation was harder than either admitted. Juma's letters were thoughtful and steady, filled with observations of village life and reflections sparked by her journal. Amina's replies were vibrant, full of city sounds and longing tucked between the lines. They learned each other anew through ink and paper, discovering that love could stretch without breaking. Years passed. Amina's writing flourished. One of her essays drawn from the Indigo Journal was published under the title The Love Journal. It spoke of love as a conversation, not a destination. When Juma held the printed pages in his hands, pride swelled in him like the tide. Then, one morning, Amina returned. She stood at the edge of the shore, suitcase at her feet, journal in hand. Juma saw her from afar and felt time fold inward. When they reached each other, they didn't rush. They smiled, as if greeting something familiar and newly born. I'm home, she said. He took her hand. So am I. That evening, beneath the same mango tree, Amina opened the Indigo Journal to its final blank pages. This part, she said, we write together. Juma picked up the pen. His handwriting was careful but sure. Love is not the fear of losing, he wrote. It is the courage to wait, to grow, and to choose each other again. Amina added her own line beneath his. And in choosing, we become a story worth returning to. The journal closed softly between them. No longer just a record of love, but proof of it lived, tested, and renewed.